Happy Monday and welcome back from the holidays. Today we are uncovering some of LinkedIn's hidden gems, a few features that you may not be using, but absolutely should be. And if you already are familiar with the features, some things have changed. So these aren't just add ons, they're tools that can help you stand out, engage better, and make LinkedIn work even harder for you because if you're putting in time here, it really helps when things pay off. So, how was your holiday season? I enjoyed hosting our family dinner on Christmas Eve, and we created some new traditions this year, which made things feel like a little bit more festive. I took a little bit more time off, which was nice. There's something about slowing down and getting some time to reflect on the year that I find very, very grounding and also making, 2025 even more exciting and I'm looking forward to what's coming this year. So now it is time for Mondays with Mindy. This is a weekly show at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, where I talk about all things LinkedIn pipeline, promo, and profiles, what I call the three P's of LinkedIn. Do you have questions about LinkedIn that you want me to answer? Be sure to like this post, whether you're live or watching from the replay. Drop your questions in the chat and I'll answer them either after the show or on a future episode. I love to hop in the comments right after the show and just check out the questions. So feel free. If you're watching live, I won't answer them live, but I will jump into the comments right afterwards. So let's jump right in. So, LinkedIn is a special place. We've talked about it. That's what our show is all about. And LinkedIn claims to have over 1 billion users in 200 countries. Take that for what it's worth. That's what LinkedIn is claiming. And you're likely one of them if you're watching this video. Most of us actually just stick to the basics. We stick to, posting, profiles, the occasional comment. But what if I told you there are a few features that you should know about that are hiding in plain sight that could give you a little bit of a competitive edge? And most of us don't need to become the biggest, grandest, greatest influencer on earth on LinkedIn. We just need a little bit of an edge so we feel like we're in the know and we can stand out enough to attract new business, get new opportunities. So these tools aren't just for power users. You don't have to buy anything either. You don't have to have a premium account. They're for anyone who really just wants to elevate their LinkedIn game, especially as you're thinking about 2025, what you want to accomplish, whether you're building a personal brand, you're trying to grow your business, or you're looking for your next big opportunity. I'm going to share just three overlooked features and show you how they can help you stand out. I'm also going to share my screen a little bit later. So if you're like, where are these things? How do I find them? I find it helpful to kind of show and tell and talk through. So I will share my screen in a little bit as we're talking through. So think of these as like the LinkedIn hacks that can make a real difference in how you connect, how you engage, how you're building visibility. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Mindy Ramsey, and I have a small group program called the LinkedIn Accelerator for those who want to go from 0 to 60 on LinkedIn with their LinkedIn profile and their network. I also do a good amount of consulting, coaching, LinkedIn training for organizations, writing profiles. So I help leaders who feel they are the best kept secret in their industry to become known as one of the go-to visible experts in their niche so they can get new business, network better, and land their next opportunity. So if you're live or catching the replay, go ahead and give this post a like to show some social love, as taking just that one little action, it does kind of help with the engagement game on LinkedIn. Every reaction matters. All right, so let's talk about a common mistake. Not making the most of LinkedIn's best features. Okay, that one's pretty obvious, right? Because that's what we're talking about today. And most users are sticking to the basics. We're doing what we feel comfortable doing. We're updating our profiles. We're posting occasionally. We're reacting to other people's content. And while these are all really good starting points, they only scratch the surface. And the issue comes when you're like, Mindy, I'm just not getting results from LinkedIn. It's like, okay, well, let's talk about some of the basics. Let's talk about like a few things that you just really need to know to make the most of LinkedIn. And when you don't take advantage of these like really important LinkedIn features, you are actually leaving opportunities on the table. You're leaving opportunities to stand out, to build credibility, connect meaningfully with the right audience. So it does help to educate yourself a bit about the LinkedIn platform. I'd love to say that you can just hop into LinkedIn and everything is intuitive. You just kind of hop in for 5-10 minutes a day and that's it. Once you get more comfortable, that's doable. But you do need to kind of know some basics. So, for example, if you're not using the featured section, which is what we're going to talk about today, one of the things, viewers are going to miss out on some of your best work. So, we're going to talk about the featured section. If you're not looking at your LinkedIn analytics, and I know not everyone likes to look at their numbers, but you aren't going to know what's working and how to improve. So, we're going to talk a little bit about analytics today. Again, you don't have to hook up a fancy tool. I highly recommend you don't hook up a fancy tool to your profile these days. And then we're also going to talk about your LinkedIn SSI score. I have done full videos on this, so if you want to dive deeper, but we're going to touch on it today and I'll show you what it looks like. I'll show you mine. And it's not the top of the totem pole, so don't worry. You get to see it in real time. And if you are not measuring, you're not going to know what's working. It also kind of gives you a little bit of an insight into how LinkedIn's social selling index, that's what the SSI stands for, how it works and what LinkedIn prioritizes. So the result, if you aren't looking at these things, you're going to blend into the crowd instead of standing out, and your LinkedIn presence isn't going to work as hard as it could for you. Okay. All right. So we get it. All right, Mindi, we need these LinkedIn features. We need to make sure we are on top of them. How do we go about this? So keep in mind that every LinkedIn feature is it's like a tool that helps you tell your story more effectively. And some tools are going to be more effective than others. Some things are going to be helpful. For example, if you are a carpenter, you're going to have a hammer, you're going to have a wrench, you're going to have nails, you're going to have a lot of tools, and they're going to be helpful in different situations depending on what you're building, what you're constructing. So again, use these features in a way that makes sense for you. You don't have to use them like the influencers. And the influencers have very different priorities than most of us do. So instead of viewing these features as optionals, okay, these are great, think of them, these ones are essential. Okay. So the ones we're talking about today, these are essential components of your personal or professional brand strategy. So again, the featured section, it's not just a space for on your profile that's look at me, patting yourself on the back. It is really helping people understand who you are and what you do. It's a little bit like your elevator pitch visualized. All right. So it's making that visual for people. And LinkedIn analytics, it's not just numbers. It's not just about bragging on yourself. Look at my numbers. I'm so great. It's really helping you understand your audience and helping you to create content that resonates with people, that resonates with the right people, what is working on your profile, what's not working. And then again, LinkedIn SSI, if you're looking at the SSI score, it's not just about, again, patting yourself on the back saying, wow, I'm such a great social seller. It's showing you, okay, you're doing this on LinkedIn pretty well. You're doing this not so well. And here's where you should focus your attention and your energy if you want to be a well-rounded LinkedIn user, well-rounded LinkedIn professional, making the most of LinkedIn. So when you embrace these three tools, you're going to start seeing that LinkedIn, it's not just a platform, another social media platform, but it's actually like an ecosystem of possibilities. Each feature is really helping you to connect with the right people at the right time and in the right way. And you don't have to spend a ton of time. I'm really big on that. You don't have to spend, once you know the basics, you don't have to spend all day on LinkedIn. If you are spending all day on LinkedIn, you're doing something wrong, so don't spend all day on LinkedIn. Go do what you actually do for your work and spend a little time on LinkedIn, just kind of brushing up things and keeping an eye to make sure that you are connecting with the right people. And every one of these three things is a chance to position yourself uniquely, which is important on LinkedIn. So whether you're trying to find your next job, you're trying to grow your business, you're building your personal brand, the key is really to explore, to experiment, and believe that LinkedIn has more to offer than sometimes meets the eye. It is definitely not as intuitive as I would like it to be. So let's talk about each of these three sections, and I am going to share my screen as we are talking so you know what I'm talking about. All right, so let's talk about number one, the featured section. All right, I'm going to talk through it, then I'm going to show it to you. So this is one of my personal favorites. I love the featured section. I feel like it is very much underused because I think this section, it is located near the top of your profile. It's prime real estate. It's where you can showcase your standout LinkedIn posts, articles, links, media files, videos. You want to think of this as your personal highlight reel of all your like professional accomplishments, what you stand for, what you talk about. It really helps people get to know you and figure out, oh, this is what you're all about professionally. So I like to use it, and how I recommend people using it. It's like you're curating content that showcases your professional expertise. So maybe it's a high performing LinkedIn post. It could be a media feature. It could be a link to your portfolio. It could be a link to your website if you want. It could be a white paper. It could be a lot of different things depending on your area of expertise. You want to keep it fresh. So you want to rotate content here based on what's relevant to your current goals. If you're looking for your next job, then keep that in mind. Yeah, if you have recruiters or headhunters looking at your profile, you want to make sure the right stuff is there. I don't recommend putting your resume there. I think that's a little too much in your face, but you do want your accomplishments. You do, if you want to be hired as a speaker, you want to make sure that you have something showing you speaking. It could be online, it could be videos, but make sure that there's stuff that speaks to the fact that you are a speaker. If you're promoting a webinar, launching a program, you have courses, make sure that you're featuring that front and center. Don't hide it. Don't just do it when you're launching. Make sure people know what you offer. And why this matters, people often skim profiles. We don't comb through everyone's profiles. Like, that's not how we do it. We usually kind of skim, like, oh, that's what they're about. Cool. I want to connect. I don't want to connect. And we're making very fast split judgment decisions based on what we see. So the featured section is going to, hopefully the goal here is to grab attention, give people a snapshot of your best work without having to scroll through everything else. Some of them may want to go deeper into specific sections of your profile. But if you just kind of highlight things for them, especially those first, 3 to 5 positions, in your featured section, highlight what you want them to see so they don't have to scroll all the way through. Some people are very visual. So if it's visually appealing, that's going to help people who are a little bit more visual rather than people who want to read through the text. And again, you don't have to overhaul this section. Just add one piece of content to your featured section today. That would be my takeaway. Like, okay, I need to add this featured section to my profile, just add one thing here. So think about what represents you best, what you want to highlight right now. Maybe you had a really good post. So where is this on your profile? All right, so let me share my screen and make sure you can see it. All right, here we go. All right, so here's my profile. All right, so you can see, you're like, okay, where is this featured section? If you don't have it, click add profile section here. And if you click under recommended, you'll see add featured. That's where you're going to go to add it if you don't have it on your profile already. And you'll see it's pretty close to the top. So you can see in mine here, there's my latest live stream, the one I'm doing today. Then you're going to see, okay, I participated in this How Women's Lead event. You'll see here's a very more popular one of my live streams there. There's another article. This one is kind of like a timeless post that people just keep coming back to. And so there's a lot of likes on it, even though it's an older article. So you can see, you can actually scroll through. But what's most important is what people see in the first few positions here. So you want to keep this fresh. You want to update that. Okay. So that's very, very important. And it can be fun. You don't have to keep it super static. I would really mix up the type of media that you have in this section so that it feels fresh, and it kind of like, if you have some stuff that's like an article, if you have stuff speaking, if you have other types of content, or you've been featured or on a podcast, those are all good things to add to that section. You can't go wrong. All right, number 2, analytics. And we were just looking at mine. So analytics are important. I will show you some of my analytics. And this is like your roadmap to LinkedIn success. Okay, so LinkedIn analytics, it's not just like a data dashboard. You're not just looking at the numbers. You're looking for what the numbers are telling you. So this is your personal roadmap to figure out like what's working, where you can improve, and whether it's you want more profile views, maybe you want your content to start performing better, maybe you want to see who's looking at your profile. All of these insights can help you make more strategic decisions about your LinkedIn presence. For those of you who do have a paid LinkedIn account, so any type of LinkedIn premium account, you're going to have more numbers here than and a little bit more insight than people who do not. I have a basic LinkedIn premium account, so you'll see the numbers. They may look a little bit different. I may have a little bit more insight than you may have on yours, but you can still get the bulk of the numbers I'm going to show you. You just may not have some of the demographic information. All right, so how do you use these numbers? So your profile analytics, which we'll look at, These are going to help you see who's viewing your profile. Are they in the industries or roles you want to target? Like sometimes you may look and you're like, why are these people looking at my profile? Why am I popping up in these searches? Are these the right people? If you're like, yeah, these are, or I recently participated or worked with this company, or I'm applying for these different roles at these companies, and I'm seeing that people from these companies are looking at my profile, that's a good sign. You also want to look for trends over time. Are your views increasing after posting or engaging with others? Are your views going up or down? So you want to use this data to adjust your profile or content focus to actually align with your audience's interests. And you want to attract the right people. If you're getting the complete wrong people, there's something wrong with your profile and possibly the content that you're posting. Now, when it comes to your content analytics, you want to look at impressions, engagement rates, audience demographics for your post, like who's actually liking your post and reacting to your post. And then you want to think about the types of content, like do you get more impressions, or you get more impressions at a certain time of day? For example, are you getting more reactions on a certain topic? There's a lot of qualitative stuff here, and you do have to do a little bit of digging and pay attention. And sometimes you kind of have to guess to see what's performing best. You may not know exactly why, but you can come up with some theories to what's working and why it's working. And then you want to try to tailor future posts based on what's resonating with your audience. And then audience insights. So who's actually looking? So like the demographic information. Discover where your viewers are located, their industries, job functions, titles. You want to see the companies a lot of times, and use this information to refine your tone, possibly your messaging, even posting times to better align with your audience. Think about, oh, they're probably based in the US or maybe they're based in Europe, so I need to adjust my time accordingly. So analytics can really give you a backstage pass to your LinkedIn performance, like really understanding what's going on. And it's not just about posting more, it's about posting smarter. It's about adjusting your LinkedIn profile to ensure that you are being found for the right things, you're popping up in the right types of searches. And so by paying attention to these, you don't have to be an expert at analytics, but just look at them, because by looking at them over and over and over again, you will start to notice patterns. So you don't have to be an analyst to actually understand these numbers. Just look at them and like, okay, I'm going to spend 2 minutes this week looking at a few numbers. And then next week, I'll look at the same numbers. And you will start to notice patterns over time, and you'll start feeling a little bit more familiar and feel like you're starting to understand them. That's how I learned things too. Like when I first started doing LinkedIn ads, for example, there's so many numbers on the back end and so many ways you can slice and dice the data that it can feel really overwhelming. But by just logging into that dashboard every day, looking at the numbers and writing down the 3 or 4 most important numbers to me, it was like, oh, now I get it. Now I can see the trends. Now I can spot the patterns. Do that with your LinkedIn profile analytics, and that will really, really help you. Okay. So let me show you where to find these. And we kind of saw it a little bit when we were looking at the profile. All right. So let me share this screen again. All right, so when you are on your LinkedIn profile, what you're going to do to find the analytics for your profile, you'll see analytics right at the top, private to you. You can actually click to show all analytics. That will take you back here. And you'll see mine might look a little bit different than yours because it just depends on what type of LinkedIn account you have. But you'll see post impressions, you'll see number of profile viewers, you'll see how many I have a newsletter, so how many subscribers I have, article views, search appearances, followers. So you can actually like click into these too. So if you want to look at your content in particular, you can actually go here and it shows you like your top performing posts. You're like, oh, okay, people liked learning about LinkedIn pages. Interesting. Oh, this article is still popular from 3 years ago, which is interesting. Oh, people are looking at this live, which I'm doing today. So this can be really, really interesting to take a look at. And then you can also see, we talked about the posts and then the audience. So the people who are looking. So you can actually kind of break this down by job titles, locations, you can see industry. So again, like if you're trying to tailor your content for a specific location, you kind of want to like, oh, okay, I have certain number of people. Most of the people here are showing in, the US. So probably posting at a good Eastern time and Pacific time, I'm going to catch everyone, so that you can really have a lot of fun just looking at these different numbers. You can change, the rate. If you want to see results from up to a year ago, you can do that as well. All right. So get comfortable. The takeaway here is get comfortable with your analytics so you understand what's going on and how your numbers are looking. And you'll see that mine went down because I haven't been that active because of the holidays, right? And that's to be expected. And I would expect the numbers to go up a little bit in January because people are kind of coming back and paying attention to LinkedIn. Okay. All right, so let's talk about number three, the social selling index. All right, so this one's fun. This is like your LinkedIn success score. It's kind of like your scorecard. And you can actually make this quite fun by making it a competition within your company or with a group of friends. And some people get really competitive when it comes to their score. And so this can be kind of a fun way to do it. So what it is, LinkedIn has a social selling index, and it used to be really popular, and now I feel like people aren't really talking about it, but it's still there. It's a little known metric. It evaluates, it's LinkedIn. So it's LinkedIn actually evaluating how effectively you are leveraging LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is grading you on how you use LinkedIn to build your professional brand, to engage with your network, and create meaningful connections. So it's kind of like a health check for your LinkedIn activity. It gives you some actionable insights that you can actually use to improve your presence. So there's like four things which we'll look at that you can improve on LinkedIn to, get a better grade. All right. Nobody else can see your SSI score either. So it's not like somebody can look you up and see what your score is. You would actually have to share it with them, which you can see mine. And I will show you it's not the absolute greatest right now. So the score is broken down into four categories and they're each rated on a scale of 0 to 25. All right. So I'm actually going to share my screen and I'm going to kind of talk through it as well. So I am going to type in here SSI. Okay, we're going to switch to that tab. Let's see if it lets me do that. Do, 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 do. All right, let's go there and then let me reshare. All right, trying to share multiple screens on StreamYard can be a little tricky sometimes. We're keeping it real. All right, so I think that one's probably a little bit better there. Okay, I think this one's our best look. All right, so you can see the four components of your score, and you can see my current social selling index. 64, that's not that great. If you watch any of my other ones, you'll see that it's much higher than some of those, which is fine. That's fine. It's supposed to be a snapshot of what your score is right now. So I'm in the top 2% of the industry. Okay, that's fine. I like to be in the top 1%, but top 2%. And then of my network, top 10%. So there are a lot of people who are doing really, really well with their SSI score. So you can see the four components here. So it's establishing your professional brand. That's kind of thinking through your LinkedIn profile and presence. And that's what that's referring to. So you want to have a complete optimized profile and you want to share valuable content. I haven't been sharing a lot of content because of the holidays. So I'm expecting that to go down a little bit. Then you see like finding the right people. So this is actually related to growing your network. So expanding your network strategically by connecting with people relevant to your goals. So if you are sending connection invitations and people aren't accepting them, this score is not going to be as high as if you were sending connection invitations and the bulk of people were accepting them. So also, if you aren't doing much outreach, if you aren't sending many connection invitations, that score is not going to be the highest either. So you really want to think through that and make sure that you are consistently growing your network and expanding it. That's what LinkedIn is looking for here. Then you're seeing engaging with insights. So this one you can see is one of my weakest, and that's because I have not been interacting with a lot of posts, articles, and updates that resonate with my audience. So I'm not actually doing a ton of commenting, reposting, resharing. And I should be doing more of that. That's what LinkedIn is telling me to do here if I want to get that part of my score higher. And then the building relationships part, it says I'm doing pretty well. All right. So that's good. That means that I am actually DMing. So that's kind of like the DMing score. So if you are interacting with people in your direct messages and you're responding to people, you are cultivating trust with your network through authentic, consistent engagement. So that's good. That means LinkedIn thinks that it's giving me a pretty good score in that department, which I'm happy about because that's behind the scenes stuff. And that's what I feel like really matters the most on LinkedIn. So this is I feel like a pretty accurate reflection of my activity and non-activity on LinkedIn and what I could do better. So a higher score obviously means that you are using LinkedIn effectively according to LinkedIn to create influence, build relationships, and position yourself as a thought leader. And LinkedIn makes a claim. Okay, take this for what it's worth, but LinkedIn does claim that professionals with a higher SSI score get better results on LinkedIn, whether that's personal branding, lead generation, or finding career opportunities. So again, take that for what it's worth. LinkedIn wants you to use LinkedIn, and it's going to reward you when you're using it in the ways that it wants you to use LinkedIn. So you do want to check your score periodically. I like to look at mine like 3 or 4 times a year, and you can see when I was sharing my screen, if you just do linkedin.com, make sure I'm saying this correctly, linkedin.com/sales /SSI. That will take you directly to your score. And no, you do not have to have a paid LinkedIn account to see your score. So I get asked that a lot. Identify your weak spots and then think about, is that something you actually want to work on right now? Maybe you do want to work more on your content. Maybe you do want to work more on, expanding your network. Maybe you want to go deeper with your connections, or maybe you want to work on your profile. All of those things will help you with your score. It just depends on what you want to prioritize. Most of us can't prioritize everything all the time. We have lives, we have professional obligations outside of LinkedIn. So just focus on what you feel like is the most important, and then check that one area. Give it 3 to 4 months, check that one area and say, oh, yeah, I am doing better in that. So that's pretty cool. So check your progress. You can check this. Some people like to check it every month, on the first of the month or the last day of the month, especially if they're really trying to aggressively improve this score. And so it's up to you, but kind of pay attention and see how your actions impact your score. I challenge you to that. I think it's a really, really interesting way to track how you're doing on LinkedIn and where you can improve. So again, pick one area to improve, share a thought-provoking post, reaching out to new connections, updating your profile. And then I like to say, if you're thinking, how many points do I want to raise my score? Set a goal to raise your score by like 5 points. I think that's pretty aggressive still. 5 points over, if you're checking this every 3 months, then 5 points over what it was last quarter. And then if you're up for it, you can drop a comment and share your score if you want us to hold you accountable and say, here's a screenshot of my score and I want to improve it by X points by this date, and I would love to follow up with you, and you can follow up with me also in the DMs if you would prefer to do it that way too. It can be a lot of fun. All right, so we talked about 3 different features that you should pay attention to. So number 1, remember the featured section. Important. That's kind of like your highlight reel on your profile. Number 2, talking about analytics. So really understanding your analytics, spending a couple of minutes checking them, every week. I think it's great, and just get familiar with them so you know what's working, what's not working. And then check your SSI score, because that can be fun. And it's also another way to see how you're doing on LinkedIn and kind of give yourself a checkup. So thank you so much for spending part of your Monday with me. I'm sorry about the throat. Still getting over like a respiratory infection. May sound a little scratchy. So thanks for hanging in with me today. I hope today's session gave you some fresh ideas for leveraging some of LinkedIn's hidden gems. And if you're ready to take your LinkedIn strategy to the next level, start experimenting with these features. Share your results. I love to hear about them too. You don't have to share them publicly. You can just DM me, message me. I am currently revamping my LinkedIn resources and working on my website. So I'm not going to send you to like some lead magnet, but if you want to hop on my email list, just head to my website and you'll see that you can easily sign up there at mindyramsey.com. And I do send out a weekly LinkedIn tips email. So if you want to be on that list, hop over there and join me. And if you have any questions or want to dive deeper into any of these features or topics, just again, DM me, drop me a message, leave a comment. I will see you all next week for more Mondays with Mindy. Until then, keep exploring, keep connecting, and let's make LinkedIn work for you. I will see you all next time. Bye for now.